Back when I was a real estate agent, there was a stretch of time where I was closing 2 deals a week on average for 8 years in a row. That was 800 deals, over 800 deals as a single agent with one assistant. And I remember during that time, I came up with this formula that I started using. And I wish somebody would have shared this with me from the beginning, right? But about halfway through those years, I realized that there was a certain metric that kept me exactly where I wanted to be, because 2 deals a week that's where I wanted to be, right? And I wanted a system that I could predict closing 2 deals every single week. And eventually I realized exactly what that metric was. And I created this very simple formula that any agent can use. And there's tons of agents using it right now to predict the exact amount of closings they're going to close in the future. So I want to share that with you right now today in this video. It's not going to be a long video because this is a very simple idea and formula that you could put into use immediately. And when you can predict the amount of closings that you're going to have, it takes the pressure off, right? And I think that should be the theme of 2025, visualization, having the vision of the business model you're using, getting you where you want to be so that you have complete clarity on what you're doing. And then you can feel good about yourself all day, every day, because you know where you're going to end up. So you're probably asking yourself, what's the formula? I'm going to get to that. You're probably asking yourself, will it work for me? I'm going to answer that. And at the end, I'm also going to give you the Google Sheet that I used during that time with the exact metrics that I kept up with. You can just take the Google Sheet, copy the Google Sheet, and use it to track the metrics so that you can predict and close the exact amount of closings that you want to close. I'm Ricky Carruth, and this is your Monday morning strategy. Hey, what's up? I hope you're doing super well. I hope you're out there crushing it, helping people buy and sell real estate. I hope my videos are helping you do more of that. If you missed our last live training, you can catch the replay in the description below. Let's dive into a couple of agents here that are actually using this formula. Robbie Baker here in Knoxville, Tennessee. He said this is the single greatest metric to track in his opinion. It keeps his focus on how many he has the capacity to help, how many people he has the capacity to help, instead of volume, listing total, buyer total, GCI. If he focuses on helping more people and building systems, then the rest will come, right? And he said on the ABSs, so I'll give you a little tip here because I haven't mentioned it all video. The formula here is the ABS formula, right? And he says on his ABSs, he's not falling below 15. And he wants to get that up to 20 to 25, but right now he's averaging 2 to 3 closings a month. And I said, nice. I said, figuring out the formula helps you predict your sales. Another agent, Monica Smith, down there in Fort Walton, Florida, she said she just hit a 30,000 GCI month using the ABS system. And the mindset shift of not caring if to do a deal or not, just totally detaching from the idea of commission and offering to help. She likes the ABS because she doesn't waste time or spin her wheels. I know who to focus on, and I don't forget about anyone. Right now, she has 6 ABSs, 1 listing coming up next month. Time to bump the numbers up. And I said, love it. Keep cranking. And so the point that I want to make with you is that if you will follow this formula that I'm going to share with you today, the ABS formula, if you will work over the next 90 days to put it in place, okay? So in my opinion, real estate is a lag business. It's a 90-day lag business. The work that you do today, you normally get paid on 90 days from now. And that's why people get caught in this cycle where they have these big waves where they close a bunch of deals, then they don't close a bunch of deals. They close a bunch of deals. And it's because if you realize that you're not going to get paid this month or even next month on the work you do now, and that you've got to do the consistent work, right, consistently to keep the consistent deals happening, what happens is we do some work and then we fall off, or maybe we get busy trying to close deals, and then we go back to trying to get deals going, and then we kind of have this seesaw battle happening. But if you can follow this formula and keep your numbers where you need to keep your numbers, then you'll have consistent closings, and that's what I want for you. So within the next 90 days, you'll be able to predict the number of deals you close each week. So what is an ABS? Let's start with that before we even get into the formula, right? Let's know what an ABS is. An ABS is a prospect who indicates they may buy or sell a property within the next 0 to 6 months and could potentially pick you as their agent. Okay. That's what an ABS is. So when you're prospecting and you talk to a seller, let's say, and they indicate that they might do something over the next 6 months, and then you go deep, you go 5 to 10 questions deep. Whenever anybody says they want to buy or sell something, right, I want to understand why to the very depths that I can. I want to go 5 to 10 questions deep on exactly why they're trying to do whatever it is they're trying to do, so I can understand what they're trying to do and why, so that I can help them do it. If I don't understand that, I can't help them do it. So I'm going to go through that process. And if I realize that this is a serious person, they're not just blowing smoke, there's a situation at hand where they will buy or sell a property, they're going to go into my ABS list. They are now an active buyer or seller. There's someone who may write a contract or list a property. Okay. That's an active buyer or seller. Okay. So this is, in my opinion, the definition of an ABS. And I created this term. So this is a Ricky Carruth term. And so if you get a Zillow lead and you're talking to them, they want to buy something, you go 5 to 10 questions deep on why they're buying. You realize they're a serious buyer. They're looking to buy something in the next 0 to 6 months, and they could potentially use their agent. Boom, ABS. If you're door knocking, if you got a sphere of influence, if a referral comes in, if somebody calls you off a postcard, sign call, whatever it is, anyone that says that they would buy or sell a piece of property, you went 5 to 10 questions deep and realized they're serious about it. You understand what their relationship is with possible other agents, and there's a good chance that you're going to be their agent when they decide to pull the trigger. Then that is an ABS. So I hope we're clear on what an ABS is at this point. So what is the ABS formula? Right? How do you put all this together to close the exact amount of deals that you want to close every single week? So it's real simple. To close one deal a week, you need 15 to 20 ABSs at all times. And when I say at all times, people are going to come off of your list. You're going to have to add people to the list. You're going to have to keep that number between 15 and 20. In a minute, I'm going to tell you the reasons why you're going to take people off that list. And that's where most agents mess up. They leave people on the list that don't need to be on the list anymore. You're not actively maintaining your ABS list. You need a true list, not for the people on there have ghosted you for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks or even a couple months. No. They're gone. They're off the list. And let's make something clear here. Anyone that goes off this list, they're still in your weekly email. These people are never going to forget you. They're just off of your ABS list. People that you're actively following up with. Okay? So if you want to close one deal a week, we're at 15 to 20 ABSs at all times. If you want to close 2 deals a week, which I did for 8 years in a row, this is exactly how I did it. In that 8-year stretch, when I closed 100 deals a year, it was about 4 years into that I realized what the ABS formula was, and that I actually wrote it down and took note of what that metric really was. And this is the only metric that I kept up with in terms of knowing exactly how many deals I was going to close, and that I was doing what I was supposed to do on the front end so that I had the results that I was looking for. And so I always had 25 plus ABSs at all times during that whole stretch. And guess what? I closed 2 deals a week on average, right? I had weeks where I closed 5, 6 deals where they all bunched up, and then I would only close 1 the next week or none for a week. So, but on average, I closed 2 deals a week every single week. Okay, so when do you take someone off, right? When do you take an ABS off your list? Well, there's 4 main reasons. The first reason is that they list their property with you or another agent. If it's a seller, if they list their property with you, they're not an ABS anymore, right? They're actually a seller, not an active seller, right? They're a seller. So they're off the list. They've moved forward, right? They're not in your follow-up process anymore. Now they're in your servicing process where you're servicing them as a client now. The ABS are pre-clients. It's people that aren't clients yet. Maybe they were in the past, whatever the case may be, but you're working on them for a new deal to become a new client on a new property. So if they list their property with you, or if they list their property with another agent, right? If you were interviewing and you thought you might be the agent and they went with a different agent, they're off your list now. They move forward, just not with you, but they're off your list. You can't keep them on your list anymore. The next reason is if they're a buyer and they go under contract as a buyer with you or another agent. Okay, they go under contract. Now they're not You're not following up with them. Now they're in your servicing process. Now you're going to service them as a buyer throughout the contract period all the way to close. So they're not on your ABS list anymore. The next reason is if they tell you they've decided to hold off. Hey, look, Ricky, we've just decided, we're going to go a different direction here, and we decided just to hold off for now. And that could mean this decided to hold off could mean they decided to go with a different agent, right? They decided to go a different direction away from you. Maybe they decided they just don't want to buy or sell anything right now. Whatever the case may be, they've decided to hold off from working with you in whatever capacity that means. If they verbally have told you that in one way or another, they're off your list. And the last reason is they ghost you. And so how do you know that someone has ghosted you? What's the definition of ghosting? And so that's subjective. That's like, you got to kind of like decide when you feel like it's time to let someone go. Okay. It's different. Different people have different opinions on how long somebody's ghosting you for before you take them off your follow-up list. I don't follow up with them too much longer. When somebody ghosts me, I'll call them when I was supposed to call them, because I never leave an appointment or leave a phone call without setting another appointment. There's an agreement on what our next point of contact is, whether it's another phone call, an email, lunch, meeting at the property, showing property, listing appointment, whatever it is. I've got that next step agreed on with the client, with the prospect, before I'm getting off the phone or getting out of the conversation. So when I call back at whenever that was, and they don't answer, that's okay. People don't answer the phone. I'm gonna leave them a message, right? And then I'll give it some time. Normally I'll give it a day, right? If I call somebody, I'm normally gonna give it a day, unless it's a situation that needs tending to quickly, right? If it's an urgent situation, then I'm not gonna let the whole day go by. I might try it another time right before the end of the day. But most of the time, if it's just prospecting, I'm following up, it's not an urgent situation, I'm going to let 24 hours go by and see if they come back to me. At that point, I'll either call or text. Maybe I'll call one more time, no answer, and then maybe the next day I'll text them. But after that, I'm pretty much out. If you're not responding to me at that point, I'm pretty much out, because I can't chase ghosts. If I spend time chasing ghosts, I'm taking time away from people that would answer me, that have the respect for me to answer my phone call, that appreciate what I'm doing and want to work with me. Not that the ghosts don't want to work with you. You know how many people ghosted me that came back and bought property from me? It's ridiculous. But the whole reason they did is because of my weekly email strategy, which I'll put a link in the description below if you want to see all the emails that I do and get my templates and all that stuff. But that weekly email brought them back. I had buyers I showed property to, showed them for like 2 weeks, and then they ghosted me. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't feel good. It's just like, what kind of person are you to put somebody through all that and then ghost them? And then I'm telling you the truth. Years later, I've had it where they call back 3 years later, 5 years later, 7 years later, and buy something from me. And it's because of the weekly email. And they'll even tell me it's because of the weekly email. That weekly email is like glue. It keeps everybody, it's a safety net in your business that just doesn't let anything fall through the cracks. So these are the reasons to take people off your ABS list. When you take them off, guess what? You got to replace them. That's why you have to continuously be prospecting with whatever your prospecting method is, but it's got to create enough conversation to create enough ABSs to keep your ABS list where it needs to be, right? I hope it's all coming full circle for you right now on exactly what you need to do to build the type of business that you want to build. So you want to use the ABS formula to blow up your short-term business. And then long-term, you're going to use my $1 million formula to build your career, to build that $1 million business, because you can't build a $1 million business off the leads you get the year that you make the million. You make the million off the compounded relationships over the years that compound into the year that you make the million, plus the leads you got that year that you made the million, if that makes sense. So you use the ABS formula to blow up your short-term business and predict how many closings you're going to close this year. And then you use the $1 million formula to predict when you're going to start making $1 million a year, if that makes sense. And if you missed the $1 million formula, I'll link that at the end of this video. Cool. So here's your ABS Google sheet to keep up with how many ABSs that you have at any given time and keep up with the progress of each ABS. And this is the exact same process that I used when I started using this formula. And I've shared this with, like I said, so many agents, and it works like clockwork. Like every single time somebody follows this to a T, they predict the exact amount of closings that they want to close. So if you look in the A column here, let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit for you so you can see it a little better. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so the first column here is this A column is the BS. So are they a buyer or are they seller? Right? So let's just do some exampling here. Let's say this is a seller. This first one, let's say their name. You're going to put their name here, right? Then their cell number, right? Then you're going to put their email. Okay. And then the property, right? Like 123 Main Street. Okay. Then you're going to, right here, you're going to put their situation. Okay. What is their situation? And you can stretch this out a little bit and you can stretch this out a little bit, right? And so you can actually write in here exactly what their situation is, like daughter graduating high school in May, wants to downsize to something on the water, not in a big hurry, but wants to be in the new home by end of the year, right? Something like that. And then you want to know what they're going to do with the current home, right? Is going to sell current home. Okay? And so that would be right here. And then in the conversation notes, right? The situation that could be, kind of what's going on with them. The conversation notes, it's like, okay, what happened in the conversation, which the first conversation is probably going to be in the situation column. The next conversation you're going to put here, right? What happened in the conversation. And then right here, you've got next contact, next contact, next contact. And for next contact, I would always put like the date. Okay. So like say we had a conversation and we were going to meet, and we were going to meet like next week or whatever. Let's say the date is like January, 22nd. Met at property, right? And then whatever we talked about, like whatever we agreed on and everything else, okay? And then I would have it like on this next contact where I would have on some of these that kind of started become less interested or start to ghost me. I would say the next next contact, it would be like, February, 16th, texted. That meant I texted them, no response. Okay. That was my next content. And then on the next one, I would put, tried to call or made contact or whatever the case may be. And I would keep up with all my ABSs for each situation, each contact to where I knew the last time I contacted them, what the story's been up to that point and everything. And what I would do every single day, okay, every single day, I would go here and I would scroll through my ABS list and I would look at each name and situation and I would think to myself, do I need to contact this person? What do I need to do to push this situation to the next step, right? Am I doing everything I need to do? Am I leaving my prospect hanging in any kind of way? What can I do to better serve this person? And I would think about that on every single one of these. So every single day when I came into the office, The first thing I did was I went through my notes and made a list of everything I needed to do. The second thing I did was I looked at my pending deals. I normally had 10 to 20 pending deals at all times. I would look at all of my pending deals and I would scan through. I had my assistant sitting next to me so we could have a conversation if I had questions about anything going on. And I would make sure that all the pending deals, everything was taken care of. There was no fires, there was no negotiations happening. All the deadlines were being met. Everything was cool. It would literally take me 30 minutes at the most to go through all of that and make sure we're good. A lot of times it would be less than that. 30 minutes if I needed to make a couple calls. The second thing I would do is go to my ABS list and see, okay, so the first thing I did was make sure my pending deals are good. The second thing I did was make sure my ABSs are good. Once I got through my ABSs, which I basically did the same thing with them as I did with my pending deals, then I went to, okay, where's my next ABS? Then I went to looking for more ABSs. So it was pending, ABSs, and then looking for more ABSs to put on that list to make sure I never get below the threshold that I know I need to be at to close the exact amount of closings that I want to close. And there you have it, folks, the ABS formula. If you missed that $1 million formula video, I want to put it right here for you so you can go back and watch it. I hope these videos are helping you absolutely crush it and visualize your future for not only yourself, but your entire family. I'll see you guys on the next video. Until then, keep selling.